Welcome, good people of the Bronx and beyond. I'm Henry Ovalles, your host for Life in Art. This is the start of our third season. It's been such a wonderful year bringing you engaging and personal conversations with artists whom you may have not known. People who have been working on their craft for at least a decade and have struggled with finding the balance between following their artistic passion and making ends meet. We've discussed creativity and inspiration with our guest artists, but also found out their philosophies in finding the equilibrium between practicality and creative passion. And we're hoping you continue to join us and become inspired as we talk to a new batch of artists this season. Our guest today began her training at the Edge School of the Arts in Queens as a child, where she later joined the school's traveling children's dance company. She is an alumnus of Lehman College with a degree in dance and exercise science. She has been choreographing original pieces for 9 years, with her first evening-length concert, Fresh, debuting in 2011. In 2014, she was appointed artistic director of Herbert H. Dance Company at Lehman College. Today we learn about Brittany Wilson's life in art.
Glorious light, born with just making people, born with just making people. Come out from your darkness, let the madness go. Hold on to your genius, perfection that's flawed, flaws that are perfect. Mad women on the earth, and pushing on them.
And here we are in the studio with the uber-talented Brittany Wilson.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming on the show, Brittany.
Thank you for having me.
So let's dig right in, actually. Let's start with your the origin of Brittany. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in Laurelton, Queens, New York, and that's where I still live, my childhood home with my family, and yeah.
And your family consists of, you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have an older brother and older sister.
Oh, so you're
both
the middle
parents.
child.
I'm the last, actually. I'm
Oh,
the
I see.
youngest.
Got it,
Yeah.
okay. And your parents still together?
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Very supportive all the time.
And do any of your siblings, are they in the arts as well, or?
No, my sister did dance for maybe 1 or 2 years, but I think that bug is in me, not her. So,
Right.
but no, I'm the only one who's really invested in the arts.
Right,
My
and how about your
family.
parents? Do they have artistic backgrounds?
No, my mother was a nurse. My father worked for the transit. So no, everyone's just pretty much, I guess, day-to-day work, I guess you would say. But no, I'm the only one who's into the arts in my family.
Right. So how
Yeah.
did that happen? When did you first start to fall in love with dance? What was your first dance experience?
Well, usually people say, oh, I started dancing when I was 3, and that's early, but I didn't start until I was 10 years old, and that was pretty much, oh, do you want to go to dance school? Sure, let's try it. And I fell in love with it. It was 3 blocks away from my house, and I went every Saturday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and then the days got longer as I progressed. But yeah, it was a great start, a great foundation. And at School of the Arts in Queens, and there I was invited to do a children's dance company, and in that company we traveled a lot, so I was exposed to a lot of things at a young age, which was amazing.
So the children's dance company was part of the School of the Arts in Queens?
Yes.
They sort of plucked you out of there to be in the dance company, or was everyone that was performing in the, everyone that was going to the school part of the children's dance company also?
No, you were invited. So basically I started in what you would call like a children's class, and then I was invited to the pre-professional levels, and while I was in that level I was invited to dance with the traveling company. And I was with the company for maybe 4 years, I think, or maybe, I think around 4 years.
So what age are we talking about here when you were with the dance company?
I believe 13 or 14 I was invited, and I pretty much stayed with them until I graduated high school, which was 17, 18 years old. But yeah, within that time, we did go to a few places, performed Buffalo, Canada, California, Florida. So
Wow.
I really, these are things that you don't think about when you're old. When as a child, you think, oh, this is normal. Let's just go dance.
Right.
But as I got older, I realized that they provided a very amazing, fulfilling experience for us as children. And, we were exposed to professionalism before we even knew what it really meant to be a professional. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be able to do that, because it definitely laid a foundation for who I am as an artist now and how I work and how I approach teaching, because I also teach at that school now.
Oh, at that school?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Full circle.
I know, it's amazing. I teach what you would call the tiny tot class, so they're like a baby professional class, if you will. But,
So kids younger than you were when you started?
Yes, definitely. I think it's like 5 to 7 or 4 to 7 in this group, but they're amazing and they teach me so much. And I've been doing that since I was 17 years old. And when I started, I wasn't as great, but it definitely taught me a lot about teaching and just how to, command a space and how to share information with your students.
Right.
And so it's been a very great experience there. I can't say that anything has given me more foundation than Edge School of the Arts.
That's fantastic. And what styles of dance were you learning there when you were taking classes?
I was learning ballet, tap, African jazz, hip hop, modern. I did a year of point, so we were definitely exposed to a lot of dance styles. But then there was also the performance art of things, so how to perform on stage. Dancing in heels or character shoes, that's a whole nother lane. So they definitely exposed us to that as well.
Right.
So it was a very good experience, and just I have everything in my back pocket. Even though I focus mainly on modern dance now, I can do a little bit of everything. I could teach a little bit of everything, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without this school.
Right. So with all these different styles of dance, did you have different instructors, or was it sort of 1 or 2 instructors that were taking you through the gamut?
I think the first year I had pretty much the same instructors, but as I got older, we had different instructors, and a lot of the instructors came from LaGuardia. At the time, it was called Performing Arts. We had some really great instructors come in. So it was a mixture, and these are people from all walks of life, so you got a little bit of everything when they came and taught you. So it was great. Even with the workshops that we had, people who were on Broadway, people who were in Lion King and all these amazing productions coming to teach us. And it's, at the time, again, you don't realize what gems you're receiving until you're older, and you realize that, wow, I needed that. I needed to be exposed to this person. I needed to see how they started, because it's inspiration for how I will continue.
Right, so, yeah, basically, seeing these people and saying, oh yeah, it can be done, and these are the steps to take to get there.
Absolutely. It's not easy steps, but they're worth it because you do what you love.
Right, right. So what was the experience of, being with a bunch of teenagers, going to Canada and California and probably driving your teachers crazy?
It was good. They were teenagers. And I think also at the time I might have been the oldest. So everyone was a little younger than me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was interesting. That's another thing that you learn, how to deal with different personalities while on the road. It's not always easy. But we're all sisters. We consider ourselves sisters and brothers, and we have these adults who we look as like guardians and people who are really there to protect us. And it was just an amazing experience. It's hard at times, especially as a young child, the long days, the rehearsal process. But it was definitely worth it, and it was necessary, because for some of us didn't go as far as we wanted to with dance, but for those of us who have, we know what to expect when we go out into the world. Right. We know how to conduct ourselves. So the experience as a whole was amazing. There might have been things that we didn't necessarily like, but it was all a learning process, and it was all very necessary, especially for what I'm doing now.
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure even for those of you that didn't, continue in dance, just the discipline that comes from that, and how to be a professional works in any field.
Absolutely. I say it all the time now. I was originally going to go into, do physical therapy, but things change, so your focus changes from now and then, but you always have that foundation. Right. So they absolutely taught me a lot about patience and discipline and being on time. If you're late to rehearsal, you might not be in a piece.
That's how it goes.
So now my whole life is around like getting places on time, whether it's like an hour ahead, you know.
Yeah, when I think professional, I definitely think you. So you mentioned physical therapy. I think
Yeah.
that's a good point for us to take our first break. And when we come back, we'll talk about how you decided to not only study dance, but exercise science.
Yes.
And what that's meant to you. So
Awesome.
we have to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more about Brittany when we return.
Teachers today are finding new ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable.
I want to be able to impact the community, to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today, I'm just an aluminum can, but one day, I could be a stadium.
Welcome back to A Life in Art. We're here with dancer, choreographer Brittany Wilson. So Brittany, in the last segment, we talked a little bit about, you know, your experience with the Queens School of the Arts, right?
Edge School of the Arts.
Edge School of the Arts
in
in
Queens.
Queens.
Yes.
See, there you go. That's why we gotta go back and clarify.
Right.
So it seems like, you know, a wonderful school, so much so that you're teaching there now. Any other art forms that you were interested in as a child or even now? Have you ever explored acting or music or singing?
Not as in depth. Like, you know, you do little stuff and little things in school, so you learn an instrument here or there, or you're in a play here or there, but no, it was really dancing
Right.
from then on.
So how about outside of that school, like just your regular, you know, elementary school, middle school, high school? Were you doing any dancing there?
Not in elementary school. I did go to a private school, so it was very cutthroat. But in high school, I did go to Benjamin Cardozo High School in Queens, and I was in a dance program there. So I did dance throughout high school, and I was choreographing in high school as well for my, like, you know, your senior
Right, so high
piece.
school was really when you were blossoming there. Let's go back
Yes.
quickly. You said your elementary school was cutthroat. Cutthroat is not usually what I associate with elementary school. I associate like color, you know, watercolors and things like that. What was cutthroat about it? It was very strict?
It was a private school, so you know, you weren't exposed to that much within the arts. You know, you
Okay.
did a music class or something, but as far as dancing and anything like that, we didn't do. And it was just, you know, it was a strict school, a strict environment. I mean, I did learn, I did get a great education, but it wasn't doing much as far as fostering my love of dance. So
Right, and what grades were you in that school?
I was in a private school from pre-K to 8th grade, and then
Oh,
I went to
so
public school in high school,
quite a
thank
while.
goodness.
And then you broke free
I broke
into
free.
the art world.
And yes, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
All right, so then in high school, you're doing a little bit of dancing, and then you choose to go to college. Where and what happens?
Well, I did apply to a lot of performing arts colleges that are known for dancing, you know, the Purchases and University of Maryland, things like that. But I ended up coming to Lehman, which ended up being a fabulous choice. It was you know, home, so I was able to stay home with my family for support. And
Even though you had the commute from Queens to the Bronx every
yes,
day.
that wasn't always great, but it was, you know, it's worth it. You know,
Right.
it wasn't terrible, but I commuted every single day, and here is where I really blossomed as a choreographer, and I was exposed to a lot of things that I necessarily didn't do while in high school or while in, you know, dance school. I would say the newest thing that I got into was improvisation, dance improvisation, which really helped me blossom as a choreographer because I was learning I was doing new movements. I was coming into my body. It wasn't always about, oh, do this, do that, do that. Now I'm deciding what I want to do and how I can express myself comfortably.
Right.
So yeah, Lehman College, the dance department here definitely, the dance department there definitely taught me a lot about an artist on that level as a choreographer. Yeah. So I was there for 5 years, and in that 5 years, I danced, and I also majored in dance and also exercise science.
Yes, I wanted to hit on that, and I alluded to it earlier. So why did you choose exercise science in addition to dance?
Well, as you know, dancers have a lot of injuries, come into a lot of injuries. And at the time, I didn't necessarily think I would pursue dance professionally. So I thought physical therapy would be a great way to stay invested in the arts, but also, you know, learning something new, doing something new. So I did go through the process of like applying to schools and things like that. And when it didn't work out, it was almost like, okay, what do I do now? Because when you hear artists, you don't necessarily associate it with money.
Right. How am I going to pay the bill?
You know, like, you know, check to check. But as I got older, or as I grew out of that and I started, you know, doing other things to try to fill that void, I realized that it's about my soul, not about the money. So I needed to do things that would make me happy as opposed to make me rich. Although they say, you know, if you love something enough, you know, you'll be wealthy out of it no matter what. So that's where I am now in my life, is, you know, figuring out how I can stay in this field, but also make a living where I'm comfortable. You know?
I just love that whole paragraph that you just said there. It's about the soul, you know, not the money. And really, I mean, that's what this specific talk show, Life and Art, is about.
Right.
About, you know, artists, you know, pursuing it no matter what.
No
and,
matter
you know,
what.
And being fulfilled, which
Absolutely.
at the end of the day is the most important
Fulfilled. That's
Yep.
the word.
So at Lehman, you fall in love with, you know, not just dancing, but choreography. And then we mentioned in your intro, you did your first show, Fresh. What was that experience like?
That was amazing. I mean, at the time, I didn't even think twice about it. I just, the reason I did the show was to have a guest artist come and teach us. So I used the show to raise money to bring that guest artist to Lehman. And I was just like, yeah, I'll just put together a show. You know, let me just get a bunch of my friends together and we'll do this, we'll make this happen.
Yeah,
and
this shouldn't be so hard.
this shouldn't be so hard, but it definitely taught me a lot. It was, I learned a lot about patience and about, you know, how do I put this together in a way that it will look good as a whole? How can I, you know, use the resources around me to make this show happen? And, you know, I have to absolutely thank Lehman for providing me the space and the opportunity to make that happen. Working with a lot of different personalities, again, can be rough, but these people were my friends and they were artists and they had a lot to bring to the table. So I knew that, you know, this is what I wanted to do. This is the people I wanted to work with. And we ended up bringing in Camille Brown, which is she's a very well-known modern dancer now. She's an amazing choreographer. So at the time we were able to bring her in to teach a workshop to us, which was amazing. So, you know, I learned a lot about myself as an artist in that process. And I knew that it was something I would do again, just didn't know when, but I knew that I definitely had the director bug in me, had the choreographer bug in me.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to continue creating with my friends or just with anyone, but just continue to create and to use my work to, you know, bring about something better, whether it be a workshop or, you know, reaching out to people in that way.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so I think that's actually a great moment for us to take our second break, and when we come back, I want to talk to you about the differences between choreographing and just being, you know, a principal dancer. And I want to talk to you about being on stage with Lauryn Hill, and obviously want to talk to you about the Herbert H. Dance Company as well.
Absolutely.
All righty.
Awesome.
So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more from Brittany right after this break.
I dare you. I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education. I dare you to be somebody important. Like be a teacher or a reality TV star. I dare you to stand up here. To call the shots. To be a role model.
An inspiration. An innovator.
To be a teacher.
Think you can change my life?
Make me excited about science like you. Have a career that really means something? Then do it. I dare you.
Today, 1 out of every 4 American kids is Hispanic. Many of the future doctors who will care for us, the scientists and entrepreneurs of our country, can be your kids. And the Hispanic Scholarship Fund helps you prepare, plan, and pay for your kids' college education.
And we're back on A Life in Art with Brittany Wilson. All right, Brittany, so talk to me about the differences between being a choreographer and being a dancer. Is there one that you prefer?
I definitely prefer a choreographer. I mean, dancing is amazing, and I love performing, so I don't think I will ever give that up completely. But I also like to see my own work come to life without me necessarily being in it. So I definitely enjoy choreographing more now. But there's a huge difference, I think, with dance. Both you need discipline, of course. Both you need to have some type of experience in order to, and both you're always going to be progressing.
Right.
But when it comes to dancing, some choreographers will allow your input, some will not. So as a dancer, you're kind of limited in some ways, but it's you're always growing, right? So you're given things to do, and you as an artist interpret it in your own way, but still there's always going to be a limitation because the choreographer might say, oh well, I want this or I want that. So that's where the difference comes, is you don't always have say,
right.
but you can still find a way to make it your own. Whereas choreography, it's yours. You say what's going to happen, you say how it looks, you're on the other side. They're both amazing places to be, but not everyone can do one. I mean, not everyone can do both. Mm-hmm. And those are things that you learn later, as you progress as an artist. You see that, some people can dance so well, but they don't necessarily have enough command or have enough discipline to create something and be able to, put it on different platforms. And it's not a bad thing. We are all good at something. We all have our niche. So I don't think that, and vice versa, sometimes you can create something so beautiful, but you might not be able to execute it as well as you'd like.
Right.
So I think I kind of sway between one or the other, but I think I definitely prefer choreography because I like creating. I have so many ideas in my head always, and I know I might not always be able to do something, but I will see if someone else can. If they can, then that's great. I don't have to feel limited just because I can't do it. And you have to be honest with yourself. If you can't do 15 turns, that you should probably not try to choreograph 15 turns of yourself, but there's someone who can do it. So it's like, you can share your process with someone else. You can still be very much invested. You can still be a part of it without being on the stage. And I think over the years I've learned that behind the scenes is just as amazing.
Right.
There's always going to be a pressure on either end, but you have much more control. And I think that's what I like, is that I have control of how situations turn out. So yeah, I definitely prefer choreographing, but I do both right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, it's great to have that collaborative process, like you're saying.
Absolutely.
To get someone to do the 15 turns.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, it seems like dance has afforded you a lot of great opportunities, even as a youngster, to go, travel and all of that. And
Absolutely.
one of the cool recent opportunities that I had briefly talked to you about off camera was like being on stage with Lauryn Hill. How did that come about, and what was that experience like?
Yeah, that was brief. That was just one performance. One of the women from my dance school, she also grew up in that dance school. She basically invited me she choreographs for Lauryn Hill. She works with her closely. So she invited me to perform for her at Black Girls Rock, which is this amazing award show, celebrating women of color. So I was so excited. I jumped to the opportunity. Of course, I'm going to say yes. And it was great. It was my first commercial dance experience. So for people who might not know, there's like concert dance and there's commercial dance. Concert dance is more of what I do, more like Ailey, if you will, Alvin Ailey. People might know that name, but that's more commercial concert. But when it comes to commercials, like dancing for celebrities, maybe Dancing with the Stars, things So You Think You Could Dance, things like that. That's more of the commercial side of things. And that was my first, maybe not my first, but since I was younger, when I was younger, I danced for like Chris Brown at some point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that wasn't necessarily my first experience, but it was my first big experience where, it's on an award show and, you're dancing with this phenomenal artist who's just world-renowned artist. So it was great. It was an eye-opener to that side of the industry, which I wasn't familiar with at all, but it was nice to see this is how people work. Same discipline, same work ethic. You got to be on time, be ready to work. You know, so I was very appreciative of that opportunity.
Yeah.
But it was brief. So after that, I continued doing my own work and doing other people's work. So.
And talking about your own work, tell me a little bit about the Herbert H. Dance Company.
Yes, so I started dancing with Herbert H. Dance when it was directed by Jamali Cornell, the founder artistic director. I think that was 2010, I believe, 2011. And that's when she first started. So I danced, she invited me to dance, and I was dancing with them until she took a break. And during that time, I was asked to step in and direct the company, and I've been doing that since 2014.
Right.
And it's been amazing. I fell into it so easily because it's what I love to do. So yeah, I wasn't really nervous about the opportunity, but I know that I'm a perfectionist also. So whatever I created, whatever I was producing had to be good.
Yeah.
Especially to follow her, because for all the years that she did it, it was phenomenal work, and I was glad to be a part of it. So I started in 2014, and it was amazing. The first year I did choreograph everything, which is hard.
Yeah.
But I did learn from that experience that the following year I invited other up-and-coming budding choreographers to come and choreograph for the company, which is great for them because they were exposed to different styles, not just my own.
Yeah.
You see that, you know, if you do everything, things start to look the same, and you don't necessarily want that. You want to have something different for each piece, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you want to see something different. So, you know, the second year was much stronger, in my opinion, because they got to see how other people move.
Yeah, I mean, all the shows have been great, and they just keep on getting stronger and stronger. So
Thank
hopefully,
you.
you know, some of our audience members will be able to catch upcoming shows.
Yes, I hope so.
Yes, and we have to sort of wrap it up now, but we like to leave with this question. If you had it to do over again, would you choose a life in art? And what would you say to someone that, you know, sort of wants to follow in your path?
I would always choose a life in art. I would never choose differently. I'm so fulfilled, so happy. I've never been happier in my life than in this past year when I just jumped right into everything. I kind of took a break, and now I'm sort of going into the arts administrative fields of dancing and of just anything invested in the arts. But I would tell anyone to, you know, if you love it, if you know that you can't go a day without it, then you should do it. You know, yes, it's the money that's hard too. Not everyone has the opportunity to just do it, you know. But if you can, really invest and work at it, and you know, throw yourself into it as much as you can. It's a lovely thing, whether it's dancing or singing or acting or painting. You know, go for it. The sky's the limit. When you're happy, nothing matters.
All right, I think that'll do it. I'm feeling inspired.
Great.
I want to start choreographing now. Thank you so much, Brittany, for giving us your time. So it seems we've run out of time, as we tend to do. Thanks to Brittany for sharing her life in art with us. Before we go, as you may or may not have noticed, we have a new addition to our table. We were fortunate to win a Bronze Telly Award for our online interview show. We'd like to thank our crew, the Multimedia Center at Lehman College, and BronxNet for helping us achieve this distinction. And of course, as always, we're thankful to you for joining us today. And we encourage you to connect with us on Facebook and YouTube at A Life in Art, and Instagram and Twitter at A Life in Art TV. We'll be back with more stories from emerging artists when we return with A Life in Art.